Before we continue our service, Shkoch to Charles, and as mentioned, it is Green Shabbat, Shabbat organized by the Adamah Committee to bring awareness to our traditions, connection to the environment, to tending the garden, taking care of our planet. And Klein Banai, our head of the Adamah Committee, is going to be sharing some words with us regarding all of that. Cindy was the Vice Chancellor of Sustainability at UIC and head of the sustainability efforts at the university, and recognized nationally for they were recognized nationally for their efforts while they were there. So Cindy, I invite you to come share your words to us.
Thank you, Rabbi, for the promotion. I was Assistant Vice Chancellor. But Shabbat Shalom. I'm here actually as a member of the Social Action Committee, which comprises the Adamah Committee into it. And as you all know, Phyllis chairs the committee. And it's our belated recognition of Earth Day, which was a few weeks ago in April. So during the pandemic lockdown, my father moved in with us, and then our daughter Sarah, and her now husband Jacob came to stay. And with all these people in the house, we wanted to continue to have our housekeeper come. So she offered to come on Saturday mornings with her daughter, and they could clean quickly as long as we got out of the house. And as you know, the only place really to go back then was outside. So we would explore different forest preserves around Chicago land, and this meant missing the Zoom Shabbat service from here. But instead, I experienced Shabbat with my family in the woods and prairies of Illinois, observing the seasons change from spring to summer to fall, seeing deer and elk, herons and geese, and even the migration of the sandhill cranes. It was a fine way to experience creation and the miracle of life and to celebrate Shabbat. So as we know, God said to Adam and Eve, "Look at my works, how beautiful they are. Be careful not to spoil or destroy my world. If you ruin it, there is no one to repair it after you." And that's from Kohelet Rabbah 7:13. So as Jews, we are compelled to protect our environment. We need a viable planet to provide us with water, food, shelter, and the materials our society needs and wants to flourish. Even the things that are manufactured are made from things that come to us from the earth and the atmosphere. So that's the Jewish why. What's the scientific why of why we should act on this or care about this? So the sixth report of the Intergovernment Panel on Climate Change, which was put together by over 1,000 scientists and researchers from all over the world, have stated human activities, principally through emissions of greenhouse gases, have unequivocally caused global warming, with global surface temperature reaching 1.1 degrees Celsius above 1850 to 1900 levels, pre-industrial levels. Global greenhouse gas emissions have continued to increase, with unequal historical and ongoing contributions arising from unsustainable energy use, and land use change, lifestyles and patterns of consumption and production across regions, between and within countries, and among individuals. These widespread and rapid changes in the atmosphere, ocean, cryosphere, and biosphere have occurred, and human-caused climate change is already affecting many weather and climate extremes in every region across the globe. The last 10 years have each one been hotter than the previous one. Do you remember when snow stayed on the ground during the winter in Chicago for months? It doesn't seem to happen anymore. And nearly 1/3 of Americans lived through a climate disaster in the summer of 2023. And this has led to widespread adverse impacts and related losses and damages to nature and people. Fires, floods, droughts, hurricanes, and more. Vulnerable communities who have historically contributed the least to climate change are disproportionately affected. They may have limitations on mobility, lack transportation, or ability to leave their home. They have less robust living conditions, and they lack the means to rebuild and reestablish after a climate disaster. This is true in Africa and Asia, Central America, and also in the United States. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and this is still on their website, the US sustained 403 weather and climate disasters from 1980 to 2024, where overall damages costs reached or exceeded $1 billion for each event. And the total cost of these 403 events nearly reaches $3 trillion. So climate change is a threat to human health as well as the planet. And with more frequent and hotter days, we are at increased risk for extremes of effects of extreme heat, heat strokes, heat cramps, heat exhaustion, dehydration, and even death. The young and elderly are most at risk. More frequent storms and flooding can cause increased deaths due to direct impacts from debris, drowning, etc. And after the storm, contaminated food and water, bacteria, toxic materials, mold, and difficulty accessing healthcare services are happening, their health impacts. The mental toll is also increased due to the stress of these events. Our air quality also changes with increasing temperatures, allergies, forest fires, etc. And what was that dust storm last night? More risks of diseases spread by ticks, mosquitoes, and rodents like Lyme disease, West Nile virus, Zika, and hantavirus are happening because more areas are viable for these creatures as average temperatures increase. So this continued greenhouse gas emissions are going to lead to increasing global warming, with the best estimate of reaching 1.5 degrees Celsius increase in the near term. Every increment of global warming will intensify multiple and concurrent hazards. So this is sort of accelerating. And if we make deep, rapid, and sustained reductions in greenhouse gas emissions, we would see a discernible slowdown in global warming within around 20 years. So it's not too late to act. There is this rapidly closing window of opportunity to secure a livable and sustainable future for all. Climate resilient development integrates adaptation and mitigation to achieve these goals. Adaptation means doing things that help us adjust to the changing conditions and to be prepared, while mitigation are steps to reduce or offset emissions. The choices and actions implemented in this decade will have impacts now and for thousands of years. These choices are not just made by policymakers. Each one of us can make a choice that could have an impact for decades to come. And the impact does not affect us all equally. Those with less power and resources, as I said, are already more vulnerable and most hardest hit. Recently, I learned that communities on the south side of Chicago have persistent basement flooding that is increased in frequency and intensity due to climate change, when we have those sort of microstorms. There is nothing that can be done to prevent it, and they have to just keep getting flooded and clean up afterward. If they want to sell their home, who's going to want to buy it? The small amount of home equity this historically redlined community has had is disappearing. Jewish values compel us to confront the crisis. So here, we have joined the Jewish Climate Leadership Coalition, which is powered by Adamah, the largest Jewish environmental organization in North America, which was created to help facilitate climate action through our Jewish institutions, this coalition. And their mission is to cultivate vibrant Jewish life in deep connection with the earth, Adam and Adamah. Last year, Temple Har Zion joined with 400 nonprofit organizations in the coalition. The majority are congregations like ours. And this program gives us access to informational resources, peer mentoring, and financing. Our commitment is to complete a climate action plan and eventually and update it annually using a very simple template. And a few copies of the plan will be available for your perusal at the Kiddush lunch. So this is the template. We augmented it a little. And the plan covers a number of areas that can reduce our temple's contribution to climate warming gases. First of all, sourcing clean electricity. This is the obvious action when you think about reducing climate warming gases that are due to fossil fuels. Use clean and renewable energy. We have been purchasing a portion of our energy already from community solar. It essentially means we pay for the production of solar energy from a solar farm that's somewhere probably in Northwest Illinois, and that production replaces the non-renewable electricity we purchase through our conventional electricity provider here at the temple. Our goal in this area is to evaluate the possibility of putting solar panels on the roof above our sanctuary and Gottlieb Hall. Such a system could meet over half of our electricity use with a simple return on investment of 3 to 4 years. After that, all the electricity we generate would be free to us. This would free up thousands of dollars a year to be put to other uses. And we know how important that is for this congregation. So Adama could provide an interest-free loan that would cover a significant portion of our upfront investment. And we know this because we've already received 3 quotes that we are looking at and evaluating. If we can put a new roof on this year, we will be able to capitalize both federal and state incentives that make this climate action also a fiscally sound action. And then together with community solar, all our electricity will be carbon-free. So if we can get the electricity taken care of, we have to get off natural gas or methane gas. So if we can get renewable electricity, our other big sources of fossil fuel consumption are our heating systems, hot water boilers, and our stove oven that use methane gas. There is all the technology we need to do a fuel switch to all electric equipment, and we've already started planning for that for upgrading our preschool systems with heat pumps, and we are exploring ways to do this in the rest of the building as other equipment needs to be replaced. Other ways that we will reduce our emissions is through energy efficiency, and this is actually where we started probably 10 years ago. All the old windows on the first floor have been replaced with energy efficient windows. Doors with good weather seals were installed. We are continuously switching to LED lighting as we have in the sanctuary. LED lights use up to 90% less electricity and last up to 25 times longer than incandescent lights. We have a proposal to do this in other areas of the building as well. And these lights consume so much less electricity than incandescent lights and even compact fluorescents that it often makes sense to replace them even before they burn out. Transportation is another area addressed in the plan, and we have some things yet to do here when thinking about how to reduce emissions from staff coming to work and members coming to temple. Perhaps we can return to the old days of not driving on Shabbat. I know that's not actually available to everyone, but improving bike parking, installing EV charging, and posting information on how to get to Har Zion via public transit are some opportunities to explore. Now, food is an area we are pretty strong in. Animal-based foods generate greenhouse gas emissions from the way they are grown and produced, and the consumption is higher up the food chain when it's meat. Cows release methane gas, a powerful climate warming gas, whereas plant-based foods have a lower carbon footprint. We always have vegetarian options, and we serve very little meat here, some fish and dairy. Changing our food sources is a low-cost and very effective way to reduce carbon impact. On an individual level, an American is responsible for 19.8 metric tons of carbon dioxide per year. That's about 43,500 pounds. To meet the goal of keeping greenhouse gases from increasing no more than 2 degrees, it can't exceed 2.1 metric tons on average globally. okay? So we're far from it in America. But just by not eating animal products for breakfast and lunch, you could save 1.3 metric tons per year. So about a little less than 10% of your footprint. We can minimize food waste as well, because growing and throwing away food releases unnecessary emissions. As you all know, we compost our food waste at Har Zion, and we would value having compost ambassadors who would guide people in what to put in the compost, recycling, and trash at Kiddush and other temple events. We also send extra food home with people, so yay for us. Thank you for participating in that. Another area we're strong in is nature-based solutions. These are actions that can help sequester carbon in natural spaces, so plants absorb carbon dioxide. And some things we have already done include planting 67 trees on our property, all those trees around the preschool play area and some others. We've also converted our lawn in some areas to native plantings and sustainable food gardens, and we just added one raised bed. So speaking of that, this week's Parsha, Amor, in the triennial version, the verse before we started today says, "And when you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap all the way to the edges of your field, or gather the gleanings of your harvest. You shall leave for the poor and the stranger. I, Adonai, am your God." To me, this means we need to leave enough for others to be sustainable now and into the future. And also, this means giving at least some of what you grow to others who are in need. And that's exactly what we do with our Beyond Hunger Garden. We donate our food. So managing our landscape without using chemical fertilizers, herbicides, and pesticides is another strategy we are already implementing. And this also means that we have many flowers blooming in our lawn that provide pollen to bees. We plan to continue to maintain and add to these sustainable landscapes. One more area I would like to highlight is education and connection, nature connection. I hope I'm educating you a little today. All of these things we are doing at Har Zion can be done at home, many of them even if you do not own your own home or live in a condo. For example, I purchased my electricity through community solar, as do others in the Social Action Committee. Phyllis lives in a condo, and she does this. I've had my home evaluated for rooftop solar, and if there weren't so many south-facing trees, we would have done that project. But I believe Morris is looking into this for his home. And I know many people who have completely electrified their homes. When something needs replacing, that's the time to be ready to switch to a more sustainable option. A stove, a car, a roof with rooftop solar, furnace, landscaping. It makes financial sense and is better for your health and the environment. I haven't even really talked about the indoor air quality issues of gas stoves. So we replaced our old gas stove and dryer with electric models and our older car with an electric one. And you can buy a single or double induction burner for your countertop, which Phyllis has also done if you don't want to buy the whole stove. You can add native trees, plants, and shrubs to your yards. I've done that, and I invite you all to come and see. I live walking distance from here. And don't forget our plastic collection. Taking your soft plastic to Jewel or Fresh Time allows the company Trex to turn it into lumber that will not pollute our oceans. So Tikkun Olam, fighting climate change and being more sustainable is more than recycling. I'm a climate coach for the Oak Park Climate Action Network, and I'm happy to meet with anyone, including non-Oak Parkers, to get you started on your next steps, or to get you signed up to meet with a different climate coach who may have more experience in the area that you're interested in. You will see flyers on the table at Kiddush with information on how to sign up, or just use that link to get to the website and explore the information that's there. There are many financial incentives available at the state and federal level, at least for now. And there are additional incentives for Oak Park residents as well. Consider joining the Social Action Adamah Committee to be part of this exciting endeavor. Charisse, Phyllis, Morris, and I are here to answer questions at the lunch today. If you're interested in helping Har Zion make an investment in rooftop solar, please let me or Morris know. I think we will just be needing some capital, and then it will come back to the investor. I'm proud of this, to be part of this congregation that is already doing so much, letaken et ha'olam, to repair the world. Now is the time for our health, for our children's future and our grandchildren's future, for our community, and for the planet. Shabbat shalom.